get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm your host, SchuZ Schumaker, and joining me today to kick off today's show is a very special guest, a man that's coming off of a massive win just a couple of days ago on Friday against Brian Acosta. He's a man that holds an 18-5-1 record with 7 KOs. He's currently the WBC's number 6 ranked featherweight contender. That's none other than Sulaiman Segawa. Sulaiman, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Oh, thank you, SchuZ, man. Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure, always.
Absolutely, man. So, obviously, we have to start off with what you just did this past weekend. Obviously, it was a phenomenal performance by yourself. You get the 7th round stoppage against a really good fight in Brian Acosta. You've now been able to kind of reflect back on the fight. I'm sure you've been able to watch it now. What's your thoughts on how you performed?
So my thought of how I performed, I think, I like the performance overall. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what I expected, but I appreciate that I did that.
You said it wasn't what you were expecting. So, when you go into a
Yeah.
fight, obviously, you know anything can happen, right? You know anything can happen in the boxing ring. What were you
Correct.
expecting, though? Like, what did you think was going to happen when you got ready for that game plan? You made that fight. What did you think was going to happen?
So what I thought what was going to happen, I thought I was going to put a little pressure on him the first round,
Mm-hmm.
like the first 2 rounds, but then it didn't happen because he
Right.
caught me with a good straight as I was trying to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Then that woke me up a little bit. So I had to step back behind, replan
Right.
again before I could, jump into anything else.
You know, I just said anything can happen in boxing. You know, you always have a game plan going into it. But as you said, sometimes they have a different game plan as well. It kind of switches things
Sure.
up. And so I want to ask you about that. You know, you're going through this fight. Brian Acosta obviously was coming off a loss, but against another great fight, Ramona Cardenas. And for yourself, you know, you go in there, things change a little bit, but you still come out with the 7th round stoppage win. As
Yeah.
you go through the fight, walk us through the steps when you realize you had to make some adjustments. How did you do so? And how did you do so to the extent where you're able to come out with a big win?
So, okay, the thing is, remember, Brian is 27 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 34.
Right.
So I'm 7 years older than him. That's some kind of experience above him.
Mm.
So I knew how I was when I used to be 27.
Right.
So I knew how I used to think, how I used to react. So the
Mhm.
moment that I took a step back, it just gave me a reflection that now, instead of bringing more pressure, just make him more comfortable to think that you're all on the same level. Then before
Mhm.
you know, you start breaking him again.
Alright, so when did you feel like you knew you're going to get that stoppage win?
No, I knew it probably in the second round because I was touching his body and he was
Mhm.
giving me the reactions of like breathing so hard, showing me
Okay.
that he was feeling the punches. That's
Right.
always a weakness. You shouldn't, be able to show your opponent that you're feeling what he's bringing to you.
So you knew pretty early on then that you were going to get a stoppage at some point in this fight?
Yeah, I knew I was gonna get it. Yeah,
Alright, now
because of the way he was reacting towards my punches, I was, hitting him.
alright, so we're gonna get into your career a lot more in the near future, but you talk about the experience component, and one thing I really wanna dive into later on is going to be the amount of guys you fought. You like to
Yeah,
fight some of the best guys. You have fought so many top contenders who we'll go through soon, but just to name a few: William Foster, Abraham Nova, Jermaine Ortiz, Mirko Coelho, Bruce Carrington, Shushu, obviously Elijah Pierce, so on and so forth. As
yeah,
you now are at this point in your career, you have seen so many different styles against really good fighters. How much
yeah.
of that experience, whether it's been a win or lose or draw in those fights, how much has that now helped you become who you are today?
It helps you because it always helps you navigate how you can adjust depending on how somebody attacks.
Mhm.
So if you've had a lot of tough competitors,
Right.
they help you in case you face such kind of a situation. You already know how to adjust with it.
Mm. And,
Yeah.
you know, for yourself now, so many guys in boxing wanna go do the tune-up fights. You just keep going right into it. You come off a fight against Bruce Carrington.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's a phenomenal fighter, and you
yeah,
come right into against a guy Ramon Card or against Brian Acosta, who's fought some
yeah,
great fighters, who's done some great things. How do you stay confident? Because, you know, you've lost some of these fights. You have 5 losses in your career. How do you
yeah.
stay confident, still go right back into another fight and perform the way you did on Friday?
Yeah, that's a good question. But the thing is, the more you stay in the game, the more experience you get.
Mm.
And the more experience you get in the game, the more you understand that this is how I'm supposed to handle this kind of situation.
You know, so many guys, they look for going perfect, and that's the Floyd Mayweather era. So many guys want that 50-0 hypothetically.
Oh,
Obviously, it's not
exactly.
gonna
Yeah,
happen,
true.
but they get that first loss.
Yeah,
Everything changes for them. They think their confidence drops. So many different things happen. As you've now adjusted, like I said, you've lost 5 times in your career. You have 1 draw in your career.
yeah.
What keeps you so confident? How do you still continue to go forward saying, "You know what? I can bounce back. I can still be a great fighter as you have done so?"
So also that's a very good question. But my answer is gonna be is that it depends on the way you learn boxing.
Mm.
Most people teach you boxing that you're only supposed to win. Nah. Boxing is like life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are highs and lows. There are
Right.
moments you're gonna be on top, there are moments you're gonna be down. But you just have to adjust with the situation. In life, when you get down, it doesn't mean you stay down. Sometimes you gotta move and keep walking. No matter how much hardship is coming against you, no matter how many forces are coming against you, you just have to keep moving. So
Mm.
it depends on the way they learn boxing. Most people learn boxing only to be on top of others. Most people learn boxing only to be bullies. But you have to learn boxing that it's a game. It's not a war.
Mm.
You're coming there to, to play boxing, not to just do boxing.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say coming to the Bruce Carrington fight, which obviously was your fifth career loss, was
Yeah.
that easier to handle because you've experienced it in the past, or how did you adjust? From loss number one for yourself all the way up to number five. How did your mindset shift, and when did you finally get the mindset you just talked about?
So my mindset has always been the same, even on those losses. Because most of the losses, I don't believe that I lost them.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the one you see, the one of Bruce Carrington, which was televised, it was very controversial.
Yep, we'll get into that.
But the
Yep.
other ones, you have never even seen them. It's only one, which was from Ortiz.
Right.
Ortiz. And when you go back to that fight, if you look at the whole fight, I was leading on points. But
Mm-hmm.
he got lucky and he got me with a good body shot.
Right.
And that was it. So he was
Mhm.
lucky.
Absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
so I want people to get to know you because you have quite the journey. You're from Uganda, that's where you originally were born. You've traveled all around the world. You've lived in different countries such as Netherlands. You obviously are in America now. So I want people
Yeah.
to get to know who you are. So I want to start with going back to where you were from, Uganda. What was it
Yeah.
like growing up out there?
So growing back home in Uganda, it was, it was all good. It was chill.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was growing up, I knew that one day I would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Then that's how I ended up being in the US. That's how I ended up going to the Netherlands, to the US. Yeah.
Mhm. What's the boxing culture out there? Is that something that's growing, or how did you get into boxing out there?
So in Uganda, getting in boxing, I got in boxing at an early age of around 6 years old. So
Okay.
back home, like the way you see that kids over here in the US, they have playgrounds where they go to play.
Mm-hmm.
So my playground was the gym. So I
Gotcha.
used to hang out in the gym, play in the gym, play on those bags, run around in the gym. So I was this gym kid. And before you know, I got addicted to the game.
Were there ever any sports that you're pursuing outside of boxing, or when the time you stepped in the gym, you felt you kind of just fell in love with boxing?
No, by then I was even good at soccer. I used to be
Okay.
very, very good at soccer. Yeah.
So why'd you transition then? Why'd you go from soccer over to boxing, kind of commit everything into boxing?
I felt as if I was much more better at boxing than any other sport. Though I
Okay.
still till this day on Sundays, I usually go with my boys. We do soccer in a field. Yeah, we
Okay.
have a group of boys that we go do. Yeah.
So if you were to pick the funnest sport to do, obviously boxing is the one you're best at. But if you were to say, okay, this is the funnest sport for myself, would it be soccer or would it be boxing?
It will be soccer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to ask this other question to follow up on that then. As you were developing in boxing, when did you start to believe that, you know what, I have a chance to become really good at this? Like, not just for fun or just doing it for a little bit. Like, I have a chance to be a successful pro. When did you
Yeah.
start to realize that?
So I think I realized that I'll always be a great person or good person in boxing when I was chosen on our Uganda national team
Okay.
in my home country in Uganda.
All right. So you go through your amateur career,
Yeah.
200 over 240 career fights.
Correct.
Reflecting back on that, what was your amateur career like? What are some of the best memories you have from that time span?
Uh, yeah. Let me see. What was the best amateur memory I have? Because we used to have plenty of fights, plenty of
Mhm.
fights. That's a tough one. Because I'm trying. Because I have a lot of memories. I'm trying to put everything together. I'm like,
Right. So I guess
yeah.
what would you say is the first memory that comes to mind? Like the very first thing that just comes right to your mind about amateur career. What would that be?
Maybe it would be my loss because there is one of the African tournaments that I went and I lost in, but I didn't lose because I had to lose. I lost because somebody, head batted me somehow. Then I was unlucky. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That is a lot of fights, and there's a massive difference between amateur and pro, and I'll ask you that question shortly. But when you talk about amateurs, you experience so many different styles. Not a lot of guys in today's world are in the amateur ranks that long to put together over 240 career fights. When you
Yeah,
look back on that, how much did that much, learning and being able to grow from the sport in that time span help you become a pro in the future?
I feel as if it helped me because that's what shaped me. Because of
Mhm.
that background that I've had in the amateurs, it helps me to just walk through the professional. Because professional is more of just only fighting. There is no creativity in it. It's only they just go in there, try to hit each other, bang each other, and that's it. But whatever we used to learn in amateurs, they teach you the basics. They
Mm,
teach you how to position yourself. They teach you how to react in case somebody's coming after you. And
right.
they teach you how to also maneuver people's minds without even touching them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Personally, for yourself, do you prefer the amateur ranks or do you prefer boxing in the professional ranks?
I prefer the ones in the professional ranks. Because
Okay.
yeah, they want to end up in the professional ranks.
All right. Now, with the adjustment period for yourself, simple? Was it easy for yourself, or how was the adjustment when you were from amateur to pro?
So the adjustments was very easy because the trainers who used to train me in the amateurs, they were preparing me for professional.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you were 21 years old when you turned pro. It's going all the way back to 2013 now. If I
Yeah.
were to have known you at that point in time, I would say, hey, Sulaiman, in the future, you're going to have all these big fights in your career. You're going to be 18-5-1, top 10 ranked in the WBC right now. How would
Yeah.
you have reacted?
I would have been, maybe I would have been patient and prepared myself more.
Mm.
Yeah.
So would you say your career has gone according to plan at this point in time, or would you say you've experienced more than you ever thought, less than you thought, or how would you kind of look at your career from that time span?
I feel as if I've experienced more but less at the same time.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
explain that a little bit more. Like, what's some of the things you wish you could have experienced, or where do you see yourself at this point in time? Going back to that point.
Going back to the thing I would have experienced is sometimes you have to take your time. There are moments where you have to say no to certain fights, not because you're scared, because the body needs to recover.
Okay.
Like the first year I came in the US, I think that was in 2018. I
Mm-hmm.
think I fought 5 times. Imagine 5 times in the whole year. And it was my first time in the US.
Right.
Yeah, so that alone, affects your body no matter how great you are, but the body is already tired.
Mm-hmm.
You can't react to the high level that you'd have reacted on or perform on the high performance level because the body is already tired, but the mind is convincing you that you're good, but the body is tired.
Right. And that is a huge difference, especially when you get to the pro ranks. There is a massive business that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people and the fans don't recognize. You have a
True.
lot to get to figure out. And that's what I think you were talking about a little bit too. You have
Yeah.
fought so many guys. And going back to that 2018 year, you fought
Mm.
William Foster. You fought Abraham Nova. You
Yeah.
fought big name guys in that time span. So when you look back on that, as you
Yeah.
said, you don't want to be someone that's necessarily ducking, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you have to be smart with your choosing of how you choose your fights. Elaborate
Exactly.
on that a little bit. Like, why is it the right choice to say sometimes you have to say no to fights, even if they look good on paper?
So the thing is, it depends on the people who have signed you and people who have bought you in the game.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when I was coming in the US, I had a manager who got me in the game. The manager was very good at boxing. He knows what he was doing. But sometimes because of money hungry, then they end up making you the fighter, become their cash cow. They keep
Right.
telling, go get the fight, go get the fight. Before you know, you end up hurting yourself because the body is tired. It can no longer keep up. Yeah.
All right. So before we get into that 2018 year when you come to the United States, you actually take an interesting journey. As I said, you turned pro in 2013, but 2015 comes along and you go over to the Netherlands. And you don't box, you do kickboxing as well in that time span. So I have to
Yeah.
ask about this. It's crazy, guys. It's got to be a massive drastic change for yourself. You go from one country to an
Yeah.
entire different continent. You're living in the Netherlands. You're doing a
Yeah.
different sport. Why?
Yeah.
Why'd you decide to make that choice?
So I had to make that choice because when I went in the Netherlands, they're known very good fighters who do boxing,
Hmm.
but they have a lot of great kickboxing champions.
Yep.
So I used to see the kickboxing champions, whatever they were doing and how they were doing it, and I was like, nah. If I'm only going in there, feint them a little bit, they throw that kick, then I come with a count of a punch, they'll be gone. And guess what? He helped me for like a year, but eventually I was like, no, this is not my thing.
All right. So when you first made that choice to go to Netherlands, were you seriously considering switching over into kickboxing?
Nope, I
Okay.
wasn't. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you just wanted to train more so then?
Yeah, because when I was going to the Netherlands, I had gone there to do a tournament. It was a boxing amateur tournament
Mm-hmm.
at that time. Then I did it, and some promoters saw the potential in me, and they told me you can stay here for like some month. We can extend your visa. You stay here for a while, and we can see whether we can get you some fight. And then they started convincing me. At least you can throw one, two, three, then mix in a small kick. That's how they started playing with my mind, and I
Okay.
was like, okay, let me give it a try.
Now, if you were to pursue, kickboxing from the time you were younger, do you feel like you could have been a good kickboxer, or was your calling always be boxing, just not a fan of kicking whatsoever?
No, my calling would have been always boxing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're not much of a fan of the kicking aspect at all then?
Nah, 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 nah. I feel as if our war is be even off. I don't
Right.
have the basics of kicking. Even my positioning is not that good. It's not that bad, but still, I feel as if I'm gonna get destroyed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So what would you say is more difficult with sport? If somebody has never boxed in their life, somebody's never done kickboxing in their life, which one's more difficult to learn?
it depends on the basics. How you learn the basics. Everything is easy depending on who teaches you how to do it.
I like that. All right.
Yeah.
So when you did learn this, you've acclimated the Dutch style, you acclimated some kickboxing styles. Obviously, you can never kick in boxing, but
Yeah.
were there any things that you took from that time span that you've been able to incorporate into your boxing now?
Nah, there is none.
Okay, so almost nothing you
Yeah.
gained from that time span then.
Nah, yeah.
Okay, well let's transition then. As you said, 2018 rolls around, you come to the United States of America, you're back
Yeah.
all in on boxing. What was your
Yeah.
mindset, and how did this opportunity come to be? How did you get back into boxing in America?
So the opportunity comes in the Netherlands. I was doing kickboxing, but at the same time, those people who made me to stay, they would always take me to do some professional fights. So in the Netherlands, I also did two professional fights over there,
Right.
boxing professional fights, and I did some amateur kickboxing fights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the promoters, they saw me doing the professional boxing over there. That's when they ended up tapping in me to bring me over to the US.
All right. So you touched
Yeah,
down in the United States of America. Did
yeah.
you expect to get right to business where you're going to be fighting a guy like William Foster, Abraham Nova? Did you expect to get into the flow that quickly?
No, I didn't expect that.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what was that first year like? Because you're in, once again, an entirely new country, and now you're
yeah.
fighting some of these top guys. What was that first year in America like for yourself?
So my first year in the US, it was very okay. I didn't have any issues with it, but the only issue I had was the manager who brought me in the system. He was kind of that's how I take it. He was kind of like pushing me to go get the money, go get the money. So that affected me somehow because it makes you even hate yourself. You feel as if you only there to be used because of the money.
Right.
Yeah, but as time goes by, you adjust, you get used to it, and you understand it's a country of money, money, money. But you find ways and how to maneuver through.
And that is a tough spot because boxing is a very unique sport where when you get to the very beginning stages of your boxing career, unless
Yeah,
you're a guy like Jake Paul for some reason, but if outside of that, you're not going to make a lot of money. It is something that
exactly.
but once you get to the points where you're at today, you can actually
Yeah,
make a good living. So a lot
true.
of guys obviously will be in a position when they're early on, fight as much as possible so you can get money. How do
Yeah,
you balance that? Because like you said, obviously looking back at it, it wasn't
yeah,
always the best choices you made in that regard. So how do you
true.
balance that? How do you still let's say, okay, I need to provide, I need the right money financially, but I also need to do what's smart for my career.
Correct. But the right answer to give you for that question or for that kind of situation that you have tried to explain is, as you said, they say one man's poison can be somebody else, like good meat, something like that.
Right.
So as you see that it might not have been too much money, then to other people it would have been, more, depending on how,
Right.
yeah. So money can be sometimes, it depends on your lifestyle. Some people's lifestyles are cheap, whereby any kind of money works for them.
Hmm.
And there's some people who their lifestyle is a little bit expensive. Their money they can't go for. So it depends.
Okay, I like that. All right,
Yeah.
so we talked about some of your losses in your career. To list the five in order: William Foster, Abraham Nova, Jermaine Ortiz, Mirko Coelho, Bruce Carrington. All fine losses. All guys have had very solid careers in their careers. But you look back at that now. Which one of those losses were the most confusing for yourself, or the one that you wish you could get back?
So the one which was confusing that I wish I could go back, the Foster one, the Nova one,
Hmm.
Nova and Foster.
Okay.
Yeah, Foster Nova. The Bruce Carrington, that one I don't even count it as a loss, but it is what it is. Yeah, the one there is this kid from Argentina. What's his name?
Quelo?
Coelho. Because I also spoke to Samson. He was like, "But what happened?" I told him I just had a bad day. That's the answer I gave because I had a bad day because I forgot to eat. This is something that most fighters, I think, they usually face it. I don't know. We
Mhm.
went to Vegas, but because I was, you get stuck in your mind whereby you're like, no, I have to be on weight.
Right.
So I got stuck in my mind that I had to be on weight. We reached there on like a Wednesday. The fight was supposed to happen on a Saturday. So on Thursday, I train in the morning.
Hmm.
I forget to eat on Thursday. Then weighing in was on Friday. I got to weigh in, but my mind made me forget to eat that the body did. So eating after like 24 hours of a body without food when you've been training, it weakens you somehow.
Yes.
So reaching the fight, I didn't have my legs, and I was like, "What's going on with me? What happened?" I didn't know what happened, but when I went back and looked back, I was like, "Damn, I just forgot to eat." But it is what it is. You can't explain it to anybody. Nobody will understand it. But my trainer really got it. I was like, "Yeah, it's me who messed up. I just forgot to eat, and everything was on me. It is what it is. Let me accept the loss and keep moving."
So you'd say then out of all your losses, that's the one that you probably could have gone back. You could have at least controlled a little bit more then?
More,
Gotcha.
yeah. Because
All right.
as even if you go back to that loss, most people even they saw the fight, they were like, yes, it was a loss, but as rounds kept going on to the sixth, seventh, eighth, I started like really frustrating him a little bit.
Hmm.
Meaning that his energy was also getting low to match my energy, though the body was tired.
Hmm.
Then we were all reacting on the same level of energy. Then punches were, affecting him somehow.
Absolutely. All right, so I
Yeah.
have to ask you another question though. So many guys will go throughout their careers and they do tune-up fights. They rebuild themselves up. You go right into another fight. William Foster, go to Abraham Nova. You fight Elijah Pierce. You beat him. You beat Ruben Villa, who's obviously a great fighter. Jermaine Ortiz, you lose. Mirko Coelho, Bruce Carrington. Then you go back and you fight Brian Acosta just on Friday. You always are looking to fight these guys that are highly regarded, top contenders. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that your choice? Why do you not want to do the tune-up fights and just keep going to bigger fights?
Yeah, and also the other thing, remember, I have a following. I want my followers to know I'm somebody who is not ready to dark fights.
Mm,
I want to prove to them that boxing is real, regardless of all the politics happening in boxing, but still some real boxing is still out there.
okay. Is
Yeah,
that a problem in today's culture? And when you look at boxing in today's culture, is there a problem with ducking?
there is. You see what's happening all over. Yeah, but as
So,
time goes by, I think the Turkish Sheikh is trying to like make people fight each other, which is gonna eliminate all of those duckings. That's how I feel in the future.
mhm.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, I agree with. I think Turkey is doing a phenomenal job in that regard. But when you look at it, if you were to take Turkey out of the equation and we were still in pre-Turkey era, do you think that that would have been a massive problem for boxing if guys continue to not make fights?
Yeah.
All right. So how do you fix that? Because we go back in the day, this did not happen. We had the top guys always fighting the top guys. Now there are some guys. I'm not going to say everybody's the same, but there are some guys that do fight the top guys. But a lot of guys don't do that way, and a lot of guys don't have your mindset. Why is that? Why has that become the new mindset in this era of boxing?
Because people are worried about their reputation more than being worried about the sport. So it's as if they no longer care about the sport.
Mm.
They
All
care
right,
about their egos.
agree.
And if you care about your ego, then you end up killing the sport.
100% agree. All right, I'd say two of your biggest wins. Obviously, you throw Brian Acosta up in there as well, and I should say. So, three of your biggest wins. Also, throw in Elijah Pierce, Ruben Villa. Those are the biggest wins I look at for your career. I think you had phenomenal performances. Were really statement wins for yourself. Which one was your favorite one, though?
I think my favorite win was the one against what the first fight I had in the US. Was it? His name was Brian too.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah. His name was Brian too. Gallegos, Brian Gallegos. I think he was
Okay.
a Mayweather boy. Yeah,
Let me see if I can find it real quick. 2018 US. Yeah, Brian Gallegos. Yep.
yeah.
All right. Why was that your
Because I
favorite
was
one?
just coming in the system.
Okay, so just because you just got to America then?
Yeah,
Gotcha. All right, so I want to go to the one fight you talked about. That was the Bruce Carrington one. That's
yeah,
about roughly 1 year ago now. And
yeah,
obviously, it was very controversial to say the least. Bruce Carrington has the win on paper. He's gone
yeah.
through great things. He's a phenomenal fighter. I love Bruce
He
Carrington. He's been on
is.
the show a few
He is.
times. but you had a great performance there. Obviously, it was very controversial. A lot of people said they believe you won. Some people say it's a
Yeah,
draw. Some people say Bruce Carrington edged it out. Why do
yeah.
you believe that you won that fight?
Because like I believe that I won because you saw the way the judges they scored it. They
Mm-hmm.
had so many controversial decisions. Their decision wasn't like kind of even. They had separate decisions, so that gave me that doubt. Of like, even the way he was reacting, I was like, I don't know. But
Okay.
that's how I felt. Yeah.
So you felt like before the scorecards really even got read that you almost felt like you were going to lose that fight?
No, I didn't feel that I was going to lose it, but the scorecard also, even the way I saw my performance and the way I was handling him in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there is no way they can give it to him.
Would a rematch with Bruce Carrington, now obviously who knows what could happen, it takes a lot of business side to get that figured out, but would you want a rematch against Bruce Carrington?
I would want it, but would he want it?
I don't know, probably not.
Yeah.
So when you look back at the situation then, out of all the losses you have fought, which one, if you could redeem yourself against any of them, you could get a rematch, which one would you want the most?
I think the Bruce Carrington is the one I want the most.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
think that could ever possibly happen?
I don't see it. Maybe in the future.
Okay, makes sense. Well, let's
Yeah.
talk about that. Kind of leads right to where I want to wrap up with you, and that is talking about your future. You're
Yeah.
34 years old. You're coming off a great win against Brian Acosta. You are a top 10 ranked man at featherweight right now.
Yeah.
What is next for you? Like, what do you want? I know you always want big fights. Who are
Yeah.
some guys that you're targeting right now that you would like to go out there and fight next?
So right now, my promoter Pro Box, I'm with Pro Box.
Mm-hmm.
So they make the decisions for me. I just have to wait, sit, relax, wait for whoever they propose because they know I'm ready to go. Whenever they tell me that we have this one, I'm like, let's go.
All right. So there's
Yeah.
nobody on your radar that you say, okay, I really want that fight then?
Nah, whoever they bring, I'm ready. Whoever is on top, I'm ready to clean.
All right. When you talk about possibly getting back in the ring, what is your target date? Do you want to get back this year, early next year? When do you want to get back to the ring?
Probably early next year or the end of this year.
All right. So we could possibly see you back in the ring in 2025 again then?
You could, yeah.
All right. Now, as I said though, you are 34 years old. Obviously, you could still be fighting for many more years if you want. So what's kind of in your back of your mind? Is there a certain time span where you want to get out of boxing? Do you want to be in this for a long time? What's kind of your timeline in that regard?
So in my regard, my timeline was like I have to be out of the game before I'm 40.
Okay.
Yeah, but you never know what the future brings.
Right. So we could
Yeah.
still see you doing this and possibly for 6 or so more years?
Yeah, like 6 more years. Yeah.
Okay. So I have to ask you a follow-up question to that then is this. When you talk about yourself, number 6 ranked in the WBC, if I were to say in 1 year from now, we were to talk again, and I said, okay, where do you want to see yourself in this point? What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to fight? Where do you see yourself in 1 year? How would you answer that?
So in 1 year, I wanna dominate all the people in my weight. I wanna dominate the weight that I'm ranked in, fully dominate it to the top.
And so do you see yourself as a world champion per se then? In 1 year from now, do you see yourself possibly being world champion, or do you think that would take a little bit longer?
No, it won't take longer. It's just around the corner.
So you
Yeah.
believe you could be world champion by 2026 then?
Yes, sir.
All right, I love that, man. Well, I've got one final question for you, Sulaiman. That is talking about your legacy. That's a
Yeah.
question like wrapping up every interview with, and we just talk about this. You could be boxing for 6 more years. Who knows what God's got in store for you? But when the
Yeah.
time does come, what do you want to accomplish, and what do you want your legacy to be for what you have accomplished both inside as well as outside of the ring?
So I wanna be my legacy. I want it to be like the underdog who never ducked nobody.
Mm,
Yeah, I want people write about me as if a fighter who never dared to duck nobody.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
Sulaiman, congratulations on the big time win this past weekend, man. I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you next.
Thank you, so it was nice, having me on your podcast. Thank you. I appreciate you, man.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.
All right, Juan. Thank you. Bye.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you soon.
All right.
I appreciate you guys all for tuning into that interview. I'll have it clipped up, edited out, and then posted up onto my YouTube channel very, very shortly after the show wraps up. I'm going to go on a short break, and then I'll get into a lot of boxing topics, and also including a preview of tomorrow's underdog card, a little bit of recap of what went down today, and then some boxing news as well. If you guys do have any comments, topics, or questions for me to discuss, make sure to put it in the chat, and we'll be getting into some boxing topics in about 5 minutes when I get back from this break. I'll talk to you guys soon. God bless you guys. everybody? Welcome back to the SchuZ Show. If you guys are having a great day. All right, so let's get right to it now. So we're in the midst of Canelo, Bud Crawford fight week, and there has been a lot of fights going down. Today wrapped up a solid card. If you guys did not see, it was going down before these open workouts that are currently in progress as we speak. And there were a couple decent performances there. But what I really want to get into is tomorrow's Underdogs card. The very first card that kind of is, I don't know how we're going to break this up, but it's called the Underdog card. You know, there's going to be multiple cards building up to the main fight card going down on Saturday at Legion Stadium. So tomorrow, I want to preview you guys it. Jamar Talley versus Isaiah Thompson. Cruiserweight fight going down right there. Intriguing prospect in Jamar Talley. I think he's a solid fighter. We're going to get to see a little bit more of him on a good scene tomorrow. So he's something to keep an eye on. Then Emiliano Alvarado will be fighting Juan Garcia. And then we have another one, Justin Villoria fighting Josefa Ortiz. Super featherweight fight. And then the two I really want to touch up on. Jaleel Hackett, Elijah Vines. Remember, Jaleel Hackett is a very intriguing prospect. I've been quite high on him. Now, obviously, he suffered a loss as a young prospect. Never a good thing there. But he is still a good fighter. I do like what he brings to the table. Excited to see what he looks like in this fight. And then the big one. Anthony Princesa Alasquagua fighting Juan Carlos Camacho Jr. for the WBO Flyweight World Championship. This is going to be a good fight. Anthony Alasquagua has gone out and fought in Japan. He's fought overseas, fought in other countries. He finally gets to return back home, fight in America on home soil, defend his belt. It's a great opportunity for himself. I'm excited for him in that aspect. It should be a fun fight. I do favor him winning this fight. I think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. It really will jumpstart the fight week here in store for us. So that's a fight to keep an eye on, but that is the Underdog card going down tomorrow. There's a few things I want to go into on today's show, though. And here's the first one. As I just talked about, we are well aware now that Canelo versus Bud Crawford is going down on Saturday. And when I look on social media, there seems to be a lot of people going on both sides of this. There is a smaller group of percentage of people, and I would be including that group, that are enthusiastic about what's going to happen this weekend. And then there's this large portion of people, I'd say, that want to bicker about the fight. Either whether that be because of how it's being promoted, that be because of this, that, and the third, and so many different things going down. All I will say is this. Can we not just sit back and embrace what's going down this week? Whether you like the fight or not, whether you think it makes sense or not, whether it's the preferred fight for both Canelo or Bud Crawford right now or not, can we be honest for a second? We are about ready to witness two of the best fighters from this generation step foot into the ring in one of the most special stadiums, I should say, in all of America right now, and we're going to watch them fight each other. Terence Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. And I know a lot of people will look at me and say this, well, for Canelo Alvarez, he's in a position in this fight where, hey, he has everything to lose. Obviously, he's getting a massive payday, but from a legacy standpoint, he's fighting a guy in Bud Crawford who's moving up 2 weight classes, so on and so forth. But let me ask you this. At the end of the day, we know Bud Crawford has talked about how big he is. We know he's talked about the fact that he's going to go into there very near weight. Canelo might outweigh him by a little bit, but I think Bud Crawford's going to be quite near him. And at the end of the day, we're talking about Bud Crawford, who pound for pound in the eyes of most people think that Bud Crawford is a more skilled fighter than Canelo Alvarez is today. And when we look at the resume, you cannot tell me that Canelo Alvarez beating Bud Crawford will not look good on that resume. On top of that, then for Bud Crawford, obviously he has a chance to have one of the most significant wins in boxing history. What I wanted to emphasize is this. Can we all just start to embrace this situation right now? You could have your thoughts. Maybe it's not a perfect dream scenario. Maybe it's not the dream fight that you want to see have happen for this fight on Saturday. But at the end of the day, we are going to witness two of the best fighters from this entire generation step foot in the ring in Allegiant Stadium in front of 65, 70,000, whatever it is, people. It's almost probably sold out stadium. And we're going to watch them all cheer on a massive fight. And listen, whether you like it or not, this has a big fight feel. It may not be the promotional dream that you want to see. Maybe you don't like the way Dana White's promoting it. Maybe you do not like this, that, and the third. All I'm going to say is this. How about we stop bickering, complaining for a little bit, and just enjoy what's in front of us? Just enjoy it. We have a fantastic fight going down on Saturday. I think it's going to be a more competitive fight than some people think. I will give my official prediction to that on Friday, but I think that we're taking too much time to keep complaining. And I might just be me. I like to not complain a lot, but let's just be honest right now. Just enjoy what's happening. This is a fun fight week. We have a world championship fight going down on a Thursday, midweek, building up to the situation. We have a solid card going down, and then you have Canelo versus Bud Crawford at Legion Stadium. This is a fight that is good for boxing. I've always said that. we are going to have a massive audience. It's going to be one of the most watched boxing events because of it being on Netflix, because of the fact that everybody knows who Canelo Alvarez is, and a lot of people in America know who Bud Crawford is. It will be one of the most watched sports or most watched fights in boxing in a very long time. That is good for the sport. And what I would consider right now is a sport that has been on the decline as of late. This is massive for the sport of boxing in terms of its health. And so at least the bare minimum, appreciate that component. But if I were you, I would sit back and just enjoy it. This is a good fight that we will be able to talk about for many, many years between two of this generation's top fighters. And I think we also need to give great props and respect to both Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez for actually making this fight happen. Because at the end of the day, neither guy had to make this fight happen. Yes, both guys are getting big paychecks, but for Canelo, he doesn't have a ton to gain from this fight. As I said, I still think Bud Crawford will look good on his resume. For Bud Crawford, he has everything to gain. But this is this interesting situation. It's an interesting fight between two of the most skilled, high IQ ring masters, pound for pound fighters, you name it, the whole package in all of boxing this generation. And we get to see them step foot in the ring. So if I were you guys, stop complaining so much about it. Just sit back and enjoy the week. And even if you don't like that fight, enjoy the undercard. And if you don't want to watch it at all, go ahead. Because you also have Patty Donovan, Lewis Crocker, and you also have Canelo Inoue fighting MJ going down as well. This is a special weekend for boxing fans, and I just don't like everybody complaining about it. It makes no sense to me. Just sit back and enjoy what we have for boxing over the next duration of the next, 3-4 days. All right, now there is a little bit of clarity here. Bomac, when they had the Grand Rivals yesterday, Bomac was interviewed, and there has been speculation and rumors coming out. Now, obviously, it's been rumors, nothing more than that, claiming that Terence Bud Crawford is injured. Now, there's rumors whether it be his wrist, whether it be his shoulder, so on and so forth. Bomac confirms that is just social media claims is fake news. All right. Let's be honest, though. If you are to believe that rumor, I don't think Bomac saying yes or no he's hurt is really going to change your opinion. I just don't. If he were to be hurt, he's not going to let that information get leaked out to the public right before the fight happens. Is he hurt? Maybe. Maybe not. I do not have that answer for you. But what I do know is this. Bomac says that it is fake news, and we're going to go forward with the fight. No issues whatsoever. Take that as you want. All right, so we have some Jaron Boots Ennis news as well. In regards to Xander Zayas, it is now a possible fight according to Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn said this exact quote. Xander Zayas, I believe, does want the Jaron Ennis fight. We've had conversations with Top Rank recently talking about maybe working together to give him a homecoming in Puerto Rico and then making the Boots fight. And we're up for that. Very interesting. What I will point out is this. Let me say this line real quickly. We've had conversations with Top Rank recently talking about maybe working together to give him a homecoming in Puerto Rico and then making the Boots Ennis fight. Do you realize those words right there? I talked about Top Rank yesterday, and I feel like this right here is something that's just another thing that just adds to the power and of just embarrassment for Top Rank. Top Rank is in a position where and remember, Xander Zayas, first of all, let me restart this. Xander Zayas does not really expect to return to the ring until December. And Top Rank is saying this, that they might be working alongside Matchroom and DAZN to give him a homecoming fight. So Top Rank might not even have a TV deal in place until 2026. That means August, September, October, November, and December, 5 months, almost half of a year, they're not going to have any cards. Do you realize how insane that is right now? Top Rank, one of the biggest promotional companies in all the world, does not have a fight lined up for an entire half a year potentially. I think that's absolutely embarrassing. I think it's absolutely ridiculous if you were Top Rank. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, Eddie Hearn and Xander Zayas is now potentially going to happen. For John Boots Ennis and Xander Zayas could be happening in 2026. We'll see what happens there. Then Eddie Hearn also spoke on this. We've heard nothing from Golden Boy Promotions on Boots versus Ortiz. Eddie Hearn says this. We had a meeting with Golden Boy and DAZN around a month ago in New York. I don't know what's happened with Golden Boy's conversation with Ortiz. All I know is that we agreed to the deal with Golden Boy in principle to move forward with Jaron and his first Virgil Ortiz Jr. in January/February/March in Las Vegas. And we've heard nothing back. Listen, when they first said this, it made no sense to even announce at that point in time. Just because you agree in principle does not mean the fight's anywhere close to being done. There are so many aspects that go into making a fight, and Eddie Hearn knows that. He's just trying to play to get some trending topics on it, and I know what he's doing. But this fight was never going to happen right then and there, and here's why. The biggest fight you can make at 154, hypothetically speaking, that Bud Crawford's not returning, is Virgil Ortiz versus boots Ennis. However, I think to make it even bigger, both guys need to have a world championship. And both guys are now positioned for that. For Virgil Ortiz, there is a possibility that he gets himself lined up to go out there and fight Sebastian Fundora or go and fight Zane Zayas for world championship. That would make him world champion because I think he beats both those guys. For Boots Ennis, you have the chance to go fight Abbas Baru if you get past Lima. That means both guys are world champions. You have a chance at fighting each other at 154 as a unification fight, summertime 2026. That's what I expect to have happen. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but I think that's the game plan they need to make, and I think it makes the most sense. Let's get right to it now. I'm going to go to the comments. I see a couple coming in. Yeah, they done slimed our boy, Charlie. If you are referring to what I think is in regards to Charlie Kirk, yes. Honestly, I put my tweets out there about it already. It's heartbreaking. I'll be 100% honest, man. If that is what you're talking about, it's disgusting to see that happen. I've put up many, many thoughts out there right now. It's hard to even really put it in words on air, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. There needs to be change in America in the end of the day. I think that there needs to be massive punishment once they get this guy, and hopefully he's taken care of, if you know what I mean there. Honestly, it's shocking still. It's very hard to even really come to terms with what we witnessed on there. Seeing that type of innocence kill happening literally on camera in front of the whole world to see, it's mind-boggling. So definitely prayers for his family right there, and honestly the whole country right there, if that is what you're talking about. All right, so let's get into another thing on boxing regards. AJ calls out Tyson Fury. All right, I'm not going to read this whole Instagram story, but Anthony Joshua went on Instagram, and he put together this massive Instagram story thing, and I'm just going to talk about some of the main pieces I want to say. He's proud of Joseph Parker, essentially. He's a competitor, real, recognized real. He's in the game to fight whoever, 100% agree with that, wherever, and that's the DNA of a real general, unlike his dippy mate, Tyson Fury. I would discredit his career/record in minutes, but I'll leave that for potential gloves are off if he ever comes back and fights Big Femi. Then he talks about Fabio Wardley, gives him credit there. And then he says this, to my supporters, I'll be back to lace up my boots and put on my gloves sooner than later, hopefully punching Fury's head in and dancing around his flicker jabs with ease. All right. I'll be honest. That is now, okay, this is probably not accurate. I was going to say this is probably the most specific call out that Anthony Joshua has ever given in regards to the Tyson Fury fight. I know there's been some previously, but I'd say this is the most specific he's gotten in terms of calling out Tyson Fury for a fight in probably a couple of years now. And I like it. I'll go on and say this time and time again. Neither guy is anywhere near prime self, but both guys should have a big enough name, have a big enough image, and are good enough where this would still probably be the biggest fight to make in boxing right now. Why do I say that? Anthony Joshua is one of the biggest cash cows in all boxing, as is Tyson Fury. Both guys are British. You're going to have a massive British fan base. You can sell out Wembley Stadium, which not many countries have access to a Wembley-type stadium. You could put those two guys in the ring. It would be an absolute spectacle. And if you are boxing fans, this fight has to happen. It would be an absolute shame if Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury does not happen by the end of their careers. Absolute shame. And if Tyson Fury does decide to return to boxing, for any other fight outside of Anthony Joshua, just makes no sense. Why? Because the winner of that fight does put themselves back on the map. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are still both top 10 heavyweights in all the world. Don't get that twisted. They might not be the number one guy anymore, but they're both still top 5, probably top 5 or top 7, I should say, heavyweights in all the world. If those two guys square off and fight, with their name, image, pedigree, history, so on and so forth, resumes, and the winner of that fight comes out, they are right back in the mix and could possibly even make a case for world championship shot at that point in time. So if you're looking at all the situations from a money standpoint, a legacy standpoint, and a career trajectory standpoint, this fight makes more sense just about any other fight for them. So hopefully we do get to see that happen in 2026. All right. I'm going to get on to some rumor mill. I know you guys that listen to my show do not know that I'm not a big fan of rumor mill. You guys are very well aware of that. I'm not somebody that likes to go out there and talk rumors. But something just came to my mind. I had to kind of blurt it out there. It's in regards to Daniel Dubois. All right, so we heard Daniel Dubois is now moving on from his trainers in his group to Sam Jones as his new manager, and then he's moving over to Tony Sims in the Matchroom gym. Wait. You're telling me that Daniel Dubois, who is signed to Queensberry, is now going to be working with the Matchroom gym? A little bit shocking. I know Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are close, but I'm not sure about that close. So that's the new storyline. But now I want to ask you guys about this point. When Queensberry has now updated the new profile pictures, he's no longer in it. Did you notice who's in it now? They replaced him and a couple of guys. Now they have Nick Ball and Fabio Wardley. And then when you look at the Queensberry lineup at heavyweight specifically, you have Joseph Parker, Itoma, Caballel, and Wardley. All those guys are now focal points of the Queensberry promotion at heavyweight. All those guys have a quicker shot to a world championship than Daniel and Dubois does. And so I propose this question to you guys, and actually I'll even make it a little bit of a, maybe even a guess at this point. Could Daniel and Dubois be heading to Matchroom? If you look at Matchroom, their heavyweight division is lacking a little bit right now. Obviously, you have Anthony Joshua. We know who he is. But besides that, who is next? I like Leo Tang, and they have some other solid guys up and coming. But they really do not have anywhere near the depth that Queensberry has. Queensberry's got those guys. And if you're Eddie Hearn, you need to go get somebody. I still like Daniel Dubois. I think he needs to make a lot of changes, starting with his dad. He needs to get out of his life. I've made that very clear beforehand. But for Daniel Dubois, he's still a good fighter. He's still young. He will be back on the scene. He's still got another 10 or so years left in the sport at fighting at a high level. He's got a great future. And if you're a Matchroom, you have the Sam Jones connection, and you have him with Tony Sims now. And if you're Daniel Dubois, you know that Queensberry is not putting you in first priority, or second, or third, and probably not even fourth. You are going to be behind Joseph Parker, Itoma Caballero, and Fabio Wardley. Therefore, could Daniel Dubois be hinting at possibly moving over to Matchroom? I feel that could be in the store. I would not be shocked to see that. And honestly, I'm just going to put it out there. For those of you guys listening right now, keep it in the back of your mind. I think Daniel Dubois has a chance at moving over to Matchroom in the future. Not going to put any money on that, but just keep an eye on it. It's certainly on the table right there. Last thing I'm going to get into is going to be in regards to Dana White and the new TKO boxing, because he had an interview and he talked about it. I'm going to break that down. But if you guys do have any other comments or questions or topics for me to discuss on today's show, leave it in the chat and I'll make sure to address it. So let's get right to it, though. Dana White on his plans in boxing. I'm going to read a direct quote. It's a little bit lengthy, but it gives us a much better understanding as to what this TKO boxing is going to look like. Let's get to it. In 2026, I'm going to start my show. What I'm going to do is basically like the Contender Series. The best will fight the best. Undefeated guys will fight undefeated guys. You will care about the first fight of the night and not just the main event. I will build stars, put on great fights, and then these guys will graduate and fight with Turki Al-Sheikh. All right. Now, hold up. The Contender Series. I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with the UFC. I do personally love the UFC as well. But when we talk about this, let me just set the table. Contender Series is what Dana White does every Tuesday, or at least when it's in season, during the Tuesdays. It is a lot of up-and-coming young guys or guys trying to get into the UFC. They fight for opportunities to get a UFC contract, and then they go and work their way up in the UFC. This is essentially what he's saying here. Now, I think he might have a little bit better fighters, but still, what Dana White's talking about here is creating a system with a bunch of young up-and-coming guys where he's going to give them a platform to fight on. He's going to give them a possibility to develop and grow and fight other top guys and work their way up to become one of these top-ranked dudes in all the world. And at that point in time, the top contenders, he will essentially send them over to Turki Al-Sheikh for these massive fight cards. And if that is the case, I have 2 points to make. First of all, that's huge for the sport. The biggest problem in boxing right now is that we are lacking the development of stars, in particular in the United States of America. There's just too much going on, too much politics involved. There's too many promotional stuff. There's too much stuff going on currently in boxing where we do not have established young prospects getting developed right now. There's a lot of prospects, but the name and images are not growing at the way they should be growing. Dana White could fix this problem right here, and I like that. Part number 2 is this. What I just described does not sound anything like somebody trying to take over boxing, though. The way that Dana White has talked in the past has been about this massive branch of TKO boxing where it's going to become essentially the UFC of boxing. This number one promotional where nobody can compete with it. It is the top dog, and it essentially is almost reflected as the sport in and of itself. That's almost the way that Dana White has talked about this. And the way he just described it sounds nothing like that. If you're essentially doing the Contender Series, you're not taking over boxing with that. You're going to be a feeder program to Turki Al-Sheikh, which is essentially what all these other promoters have become anyways. And so that's all I see happening. It appears as though, now correct me if I'm wrong, and this could be the case, it does not look like Dana White and TKO are building something now that's going to be in rivaling to take over the entire sport of boxing. It looks like he's going to go in as a normal promoter and do what all these other guys are doing by building up fighters and then sending them off to Turki Al-Sheikh. So it's a fine thing. I have nothing against that, but it is interesting. It no longer sounds like Dana White's going to be this guy that completely takes over the sport of boxing and becomes the new face of boxing. We'll see what happens. Obviously, there's still many, many moving pieces, but we will see what happens in that regard. All right, with that being said, I do not see any more comments in the chat. I'm going to make sure, nothing else here. So I do appreciate you guys all for tuning into tonight's show. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of you guys' night. May God bless you guys all. We'll be back live tomorrow for a fight. Or show. I'm not sure exactly what time it's going to be at, but I will be back live tomorrow and then Friday to wrap up the week as well. But may God bless you guys all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' night. I will see you guys back live tomorrow. God bless you guys. And with that being said, SchuZ is out. See you guys tomorrow. God bless.